Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Jay Graves, the founder and CEO of Leadership Canvas. Jay brings a fascinating mix of expertise in behavioral science and transformational leadership, over 25 years of experience building high performing teams, and a passion for helping organizations create inclusive cultures. Based in Raleigh, North Carolina, Leadership Canvas, founded in 2019, is revolutionizing how leaders and teams foster psychological safety, diversity, and performance through tools like the CLEAR methodology. We'll be exploring his founding story, how his business empowers clients in the leadership development space, and his vision for scaling this impact-driven venture. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. Jay, welcome to Founders Future.
Hey man, thanks for having me, Jay.
Absolutely. It's the J and J show today. I
It
love it.
is.
I
It
love
is.
it. I really would love to start at the beginning with you for our listeners here, Jay. If you can take us back and talk about what specific problem in the leadership development landscape really inspired you to start Leadership Canvas.
Yeah, sure. So I will take us a little bit through my career journey. We'll keep it high level, but I started off in the military as an intelligence officer, and I did human intelligence, which is you have to have high degrees of cultural awareness, you have to have high degrees of empathy and curiosity and all these kind of facets, and you're trained in behavioral science. I
Mm.
went through what's called the read, it's called the interrogation course. So that's a little aggressive sounding, but it's basically just understanding it's how to read people, how to know yourself, how to read people in that, right? And a lot of times you're attached to like special operations units or very specialized individuals or teams. As a young leader coming right out of college, I had been enlisted in the military, so I had some military experience, but as a leader, I was a new leader. And I was able to see how these specialized, high performing teams work together. And one of the things that I noticed is that it didn't matter if you had a PhD or if you had a GED. If you were on that team, what we would call today a psychological safety wasn't really a buzz term back then, but you were able to speak up. Your voice was heard, your contribution was heard, and everybody rallied around the mission and didn't want to let each other down. And that was something that really imprinted in me and also my own personal leadership style. I know it's said a lot and it's probably said too much, but truly that servant leader, that humility is something that I had. And I wanted to be a sponge and really help people or really put people in a situation where they could contribute, right?
Right.
And surround myself with smart people, like all these things that you hear about, I saw and did. And so when I had all those different lessons, I went into the civilian workforce, very large organization, started off as a sales rep, quickly made it into leadership. And the team that I first took over, my boss said, "Hey, this is a team that is really struggling. They've had a manager for 20 years, probably not really been overseeing them for the last five. It's going to probably take you a couple of years to turn them around." And within a year, we were like went from bottom to like to the top quadrant.
Wow.
How did you do that? And I said, I understood the motivations of each individual. I saw that we didn't have a culture of accountability. We didn't have a culture of supporting each other or really any kind of mission orientation. So we created that culture and I took them through the journey together. Then those individuals who were individual contributors, but also had really good leadership skills, they didn't want to go into leadership, but I supported them with leadership training for individual contributors. And I saw the engagement go through the roof. Like everybody was facing the right direction. Everybody knew, hey, this is my unique role on this team. And so as I moved through the ranks, this is a methodology that I would do with each team and it would turn them around. So I became known as a turnaround guy. I started doing a lot of talks about this, different conferences and things, and people thought I was a consultant. And they were like, hey, can you come over here and do what you do and guide us through this? And I was interviewed one time in a magazine. And afterwards, the person said, seems like you have a flow. Like you start with the culture and then you focus on the leaders and then you really think about employee engagement and you weave in this adaptability and accountability as a piece of that. And then you reinforce success in a very unique way.
Mm.
And I will say that unique way is that everybody on the team is driven differently. And if you can understand what their desires are, what their goals are, then you can reward them in the way that would get the most out of them, that would be genuine for them. Some people like to walk across stage. Some people like pats on the back and pictures. Some people, they don't want that. They want something else. And so he was like, it sounds like you have this framework. And out of that came clear.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, I do follow a framework. You're right. And so I clicked into that. And I was getting so much joy out of those conversations. I wasn't able to consult because I was a VP of sales. So I was really busy, but I would spend weekends, evenings, taking phone calls, helping people out. And I started getting calls back from these corporate leaders saying, that really helped. That moved the needle. My performance is better. And my wife said to me one day, she said, I can tell with your day-to-day job, like we'd been very successful. I had a wonderful leadership team and there wasn't much more they needed out of me.
Yeah.
And so took the decision, you know what? I want to do this full time.
Amazing.
Started the business beginning of 2019, was able to get a couple of clients quickly from people that I had conversations before.
Yeah.
COVID hit, George
Yeah.
Floyd, social unrest. One of the pillars that I had under culture is how do we respect everybody's voice? How do we check our biases? How do we make sure that we're creating this inclusive environment where people can thrive? People really honed in on that. So there was a heavy focus on that piece of things, but really it's just a part of the puzzle. It's just a part of the framework. And now I just get tons of joy working with other organizations and really helping them unleash the fullest of their talent. It's a lot of people strategy, it's a lot in quote unquote soft skills. But if you want performance in your organization, you have to focus on those areas.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And such an amazing journey. And clear as day that you've been affecting lives through from the very beginning to now. So just incredible to have you on the show walking us through that. So I would really love to get into the nuts and bolts. Really,
Sure.
for our listeners, what you're doing to generate revenue today with
Hmm.
Leadership Canvas. So if you can walk us through the core offer. I know that you have the clear framework, the keynote speaking, tailored consulting. Do you also do coaching, group coaching, one-on-one? Walk us through all of your core offers and who the ideal client is that you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like working with mid to large, and it's hard to say the size of an organization, right? You can have a
Right.
startup that's 4,000 people. What I really look for are organizations that want to elevate performance and that they want to do that through people. I will do I will look at your business. I do have that side of my mind that's, hey, we can work on your people, but hey, there's some strategy gaps here, or there's some change management gaps here, or there's some things here that we also need to work on in parallel to this. But I look for those organizations that are hungry for growth, that are hungry for performance, that really want to move the needle. Maybe they're struggling in a high competitive market, or maybe they're getting ready to launch something innovative and they're wondering why things aren't going the way they should be. And in the drawing board, it's not manifesting itself as they go into the market. But that's what I look for, those organizations that really want to thrive, that really want to have that growth mindset. They want to be able to navigate the good times, the storms, and come out of the storms even stronger. As far as an offering goes, what I would say is our typical is we'll do an organizational assessment first and foremost. And we have our own. A lot of people are like, hey, we just did Gallup, we did this. I'll take whatever you've done. We just need insights. And then from there, we can start to build out our strategy and look at how we can create those high performance attributes within your culture. What does that look like? What are the things that we need to do with the leadership team to really elevate them, to support them, to make sure that they're supporting their employees? And so that's the consulting, but there's also coaching in there because I'm working with the leaders in group sessions, one-on-one sessions. I work from everything from like your recruiters to the C-suite, right? Because it's all people. And the big thing for me is like, how do we move the middle? So we can identify what's in your top performers. We can identify of your middle, those top performer attributes, and how do we unleash those? Unfortunately, there's always a tail too. And it's not necessarily people. It's a lot of times it's wrong fit. You have the people in the wrong roles, but we're able to identify those things and then take those high performer attributes for your particular industry or organization and replace the tail with that, right? Or move people within the tail into the places in the organization where they will thrive. So there's a process there. So that's where the assessment, the consulting, and then the training all line up together. And so those are the core offerings. Yeah, I do keynote speaking. Sometimes people just want to talk about a particular area in performance, or maybe they want to hear about, I don't know, things that I did in the military, things that I did in corporate, or things, whatever. The core offering is the assessment, helping through the change curve, and really unleashing that performance.
Absolutely incredible. So, I mean, with that, talking through a bit of the acquisition side, what's working best for you there? Obviously, you're doing keynote speaking, you're talking to people, you're going to events. What are the channels that have been most effective for you to bring in consistency on the client side? Whether, again, it is in-person events, ads that you're running, referrals that you're seeing come across, and what challenges are you having with that predictability on your lead flow?
Yeah, yeah, Jay, it's a great question because that is really where I put my strategic focus this year. And we are actually evolving some things to work on the top of our funnel. So early on, I was able to enjoy people that I'd met at those different conferences
Yeah.
and then move into referrals. Now, I mentioned I started in 2019.
Right.
2020, I had 11 big conferences and speaking engagements that I was being paid to go do. And I knew that every time I did talks, I would have a line of people that either A, they just
Right.
needed quick help, and I was happy to sit there and do that, or they were interested in taking a deeper dive.
Yep.
And that was going to be my funnel. Of course, COVID hit, right? Everything went
Yep.
online, those canceled. So I had to quickly figure things out.
Yeah.
So I will say there was a lot of blocking and tackling, and it lasted quite some time. What I was really doing was listening to the market at that time, and it was really around culture and inclusive culture and all of that. So I was head down in there. Current clients that I have say, okay, we've done a lot of that foundational work now.
Yeah.
Now we need to extract the other piece of it, and we're working on that. But as I was looking strategically at this year, I was saying, man, everything that I'm getting now is word of mouth. So I want to
Got
be way more intentional. One of the things that we're getting ready to launch, I think we have our first one coming up in a couple of weeks, is small, invite only CEO roundtables. And I want it to be a safe place where we can talk about what are the things that are working for these CEOs and what are the challenges that they're finding. And then out of that, there's probably an opportunity to help some of them. Hopefully, some of them even walk away from that and can go and make changes with their workforce. Some, they need help. I think we've been saying do more with less pretty much my whole career. So at
yeah.
this point, places are just lean and they need that extra expertise to come in and help out. But that's one thing I'm pretty excited about doing because it'll also allow me to really make sure that I am embedded with what the CEOs are facing today. What are their leaders facing today? And so it's twofold. I can learn from them and I can hear from them and I can also teach and share some of these best practices that we've gathered over the many years. So that's something that we're looking at to fill the funnel. I've done a couple of conferences this year and certainly that's helped out quite a bit, but that's how we're looking at filling the top of the funnel.
Absolutely. With that, obviously, sounds like a bit more of a bottleneck is the predictability. So, with that, have you done anything around ads and social media, or have you stayed away from it? What's
Yeah.
worked well or not well on that front?
Yeah, I am not consistent there. I'll be completely honest with you, Jay.
Yeah.
I had a podcast for a while during COVID. It was like, what am I going to do? And I was just having fun. I never saw myself as a podcaster by any means, but I was just enjoying talking to people, and it was very heavy into what was going on in society at that time. And then we pivoted. I had a friend of mine who does a lot of work in security, like personal security, psychological safety, and things like that. We pivoted into that, and then I'm looking at doing some performance things and working with some folks who are kind of performance experts and bringing them in. But it's just been very inconsistent. I will be honest, I'm inconsistent on LinkedIn and things like that. I have a whole campaign. I have this wonderful data that we have now extracted from all of our clients that quantify the different areas of clear
Yeah.
that show the type of average performance bumps that we're getting with these organizations. So there's a lot in the funnel,
Yeah.
but I've been pretty inconsistent on that. I've stayed away from things like AdWords and Google Ads and things like
Yeah.
that. What I found is if you just boil it down and you're just say, oh, okay, so you're organizational excellence and you do leadership coaching, you could throw a rock and probably hit people that say they do that, right? What I
100%.
found for me personally is if I can have an opportunity to just meet with somebody, build that relationship, that genuine relationship. There are people that I've said, you don't need all this. You
Yeah.
just need this. I can tell you how to do that in 30 minutes. Let's grab an hour. But it's that face to face feel, virtually or live, that tends to work for me. So one of the things that we have been focused on is the CEO roundtable and then also getting really good content out.
Mm.
Primarily, like most people, I've looked at LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
Jay, I don't know about you. I think that's probably how we connected.
Sir.
But for every J that I see, and I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah, let's grab some time. I love rapping. There's probably 30. Hi, Graves. I
Sure.
can do this 10x, blah, blah, blah. And I get tired of that. And I don't want to be that. For right or wrong, I probably stepped back a little bit from that social media. What I have been thoughtful about is curating very thoughtful, actionable pieces that somebody could take and do something with. And the intent is that we're going to start pulsing that out more on the social media channels, but and also associations. I've been talking to like different associations and things like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that there, obviously, so many things on the hopper in mind to keep that growth, that scale going.
Yep.
Is this something that you're doing on your own? Are you a solopreneur right now, Jay, or do you have a sales team, marketing team behind you to help push this forward?
Yeah, I have a team, but it's not a W-2 team. There are people that I've been working with for many years that are just incredibly trusted. So when I do an engagement, these are individuals who know Clear very well. They have specialization in certain areas, and I'll pull them in for anything that I wouldn't be able to do. And so I do have that. I call them my trusted tribe that I bring in for those things. But yeah, for the most part, I'm a solopreneur. I think earlier today I was looking at the P&L, doing my accounting. I have an accountant, but I was checking in on things and running payroll and paying people that support me and all that good stuff. I do have a marketer as
Okay.
well. She's amazing. And she's the one that's really helping me with the campaign and really making sure it's very succinct versus me just like getting interested in something, firing something off.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So with that, I want you to paint us a picture. The time is flying on us here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd love to hear a bit from you on the vision for the rest of the year. Clear as day, you get a lot of irons in the fire here, really
Mhm.
looking to take this to the next level. What are you laser focused on for that continued success and growth for the
Yeah.
rest of 2025?
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely top of the funnel. So I'm,
Mhm.
I'm laser focused on making sure that those CEO roundtables are professional, actionable, and that people walk away with something in that. We are looking at the social media presence, but I don't really bet on that for business growth per se. We are starting to work with like different associations across the country and actually I have some global clients as well to really get to that growth goal that I've set for the organization. The goal is that we'll launch these, and by the end of the year,
Mhm.
I want to two times the business that I did last year. And if we meet that milestone, then some of those 1099 folks will be W-2. And then from there, we can definitely accelerate. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, laser focused on getting the top of the funnel. The process, what we offer, all that stuff, that's locked, that's tight, that's buttoned up.
Cool.
Everything else is more how do we get out there in front of the right people?
Yeah, just really pushing out the offer now and filling the pipeline. I love going into the lightning round here. Just two more questions for you before we wrap it up. First thing that comes to mind here for you, Jay. What is a tool or a resource, whether it's a behavioral science, insight, leadership strategy from your military background? And again, thank you so much for your service, or an AI tool that you're using. What can you say has been the biggest game changer for Leadership Canvas?
Yeah. First of all, it's my pleasure to serve. So thank you. What I would say is I am definitely embracing AI. And I know a lot of people are scared of it, but for me, I see it as something that can polish, clean, help you assess, do all these different things, right? So using that properly. I would say I'm a huge fan of predictive index. That platform is one that I'm certified in, and I've used it to absolutely transform organizations. So that is one thing that I've started really to embed into my process because I can go faster with more accuracy. So that's been a game changer for me. Number two, I don't know if you've ever heard this program, but like Gamma AI is a great way to pull together decks, pull together proposals, pull together a very nice visual thing for people to see. And it saves me a ton of time where I used to do all that stuff manually. And game changers, I would say that along with just like a chat GPT, just being able to speed things along. We have a great partner that we use for our organizational assessments, been with them for many years. They're constantly evolving as well as technology continues to evolve. So that's exciting. But I would say those are big game changers that I've seen really help us out quite a bit. And I have partnered with an organization that is helping me with the CEO roundtables to just they do it, that's their thing. And instead of trying to do it on my own, they bring in the best practices and expertise on that.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And last, certainly not least here, Jay, what is the best piece of advice that you can offer to our listeners tuning in right now? Just heard your incredible journey and everything that you're going to achieve with Leadership Canvas. What can you leave them with before we wrap up?
I would say a founder's journey, depending on how you're starting, right? I started off with my own funds, bootstrapping, and just moving along. If you're taking that route, the amount of time to sit and really truly think through your business plan is critical, but also be adaptable as well. If things change, COVID hits, my business plan got punched in the face. One of the things that I learned in the military was you can have the best laid plan until the first shot's fired. And then you have to be able to adapt and adjust very quickly. So I would just say keep that spirit in mind. You're going to get punched in the face. That's okay. It's a part of the journey. Take it as a lesson and continue to go forward from that lesson. I've talked to some founders that they find that they wanted to do a suite of offerings and they find that just actually the sliver is their sweet spot. But then they don't want to abandon everything else because they feel guilty about that. No, go with it, right? Pull on that thread. That's what I would say. And if you have the funds and you're starting out with more funds, then build a wonderful team around you, an absolute excellent team, core team around you.
Incredible. Incredible. With that, right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. And Jay, just thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your incredible journey with myself and the listeners and your insights with us today. Clear as day, the passion, the drive, the intelligence. You've seen that success and you will continue to see that. It just an honor and a pleasure again to have you on the show, Jay. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And also check out Leadership Canvas at leadershipcanvas.pro for their services and resources. And follow Jay on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/J Graves LC. For more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we are dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.